Jenny.
I'm Mary Beth.
We're going to talk about post-nano to-do lists. Not blues, but,
Okay.
you know, there's things you can do. Hey, you wrote a manuscript.
Right, whether you hit the 50,000 words or less or
Right.
more, I'm going to guess to say that you are not done.
Right.
Even if your story has the end on the bottom and you have validated it, you are nowhere near done.
That's where the real work begins, right? So, obviously, the first step is edits.
I would actually say
Oh.
the first step is to put your manuscript away.
Oh, I meant after it was away.
If you're done.
Look, it's the end of November. Put it away. Fa la 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 la. Be merry. Do
Whatever
some
your
things,
holiday is.
right? Christmas, Kwanzaa, whatever it is. And do what you gotta do. Come back to it. 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later. Not too long.
Yeah, I wouldn't leave it much past the new year.
But long enough that you can take a breather and be emotionally detached from what you think you write versus what you actually wrote.
Right.
Now edits.
Yes. Lots and lots of edits.
So we always recommend, obviously, you do that complete read through and you just point out major plot holes, major gaps. Do a storyboard. If you haven't done a storyboard, fill in the details. You're looking at, you know, those 20 major scenes in the book. You'll probably have between 40 and 60. Some have 80, depending on your word count and depending on the genre that you're writing in. But you want to make sure you can do Post-it notes, you could do note cards, you could do it on the computer.
Whatever works for you.
Right. But you want to just look for major issues, like, you know, Becky all of a sudden has one leg and you can't remember how did Becky only get one leg.
What happened to poor Becky?
Right. Or if you're anything like me, I wrote many, many scenes talking about this microchip that was so important and I never mentioned it again. So that, you have to figure that out, right? That's a, what do they call it? A macro edit, right?
Yeah. And you can even, this is even a good point if you have a trusted friend, parent, whatever, who is willing to read it in its really rough stages. Because they're more detached from it, they are better off to see, well, you never answered this question.
Right.
Why did the mom's car change from red to blue? Little things that you might skip over, because when we write, we know something is supposed to be a certain way. And even when we read it, we stop to think, you kind of skip over it.
Right.
So, somebody else who's a little more removed from it is more likely to catch some of those things.
Merlin also really wants to talk. Okay, Merlin. The next thing is
Okay.
The next thing is the grammatical minor things that you might have overlooked. You meant to say to when you wrote that. Misspelled
Get rid
words.
of most of those that's.
Yeah.
You don't need most of them.
You don't.
99%.
99%.
Yes.
Yeah. And look for your junk words. Look for the words that you're going to repetitiously, right? You know, if the character's constantly blinking their eyes and they don't have a friggin' condition that causes them to blink their eyes, then maybe they can work in another expression.
Get rid of a lot of the adverbs.
Yeah.
You
Adjectives, adverbs. Don't.
Dialogue tags.
Yep.
A lot of times you don't need them. If you're constantly he said, she said, he said, she said, there's only two people talking.
We got it.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that you do first. Edits can be a whole video in and of themselves, but we just wanted to, we probably will talk about that.
Yes.
But the next thing that you need to do if you're going to try to get this published is you need to write a dreaded query letter and
Even worse than the dreaded query letter.
synopsis.
They're awful.
Torturous.
Awful. Every agency, every agent wants something different, whether it's 2 pages, 5 pages, whatever it is. You need to see who wants what, and you need to cut your 50, 70, 100,000 word novel down to 5 pages.
It's very tough. One of the things I learned with each book is that I try to keep a running synopsis as I'm going. I think it helps me compartmentalize as well and also review what I've just written. You might want to try that next time if you didn't try it this time. But you have to boil it down into a manageable chunk because sometimes they'll just say, send me the synopsis and your first 2 chapters or something like that. It's torturous. You need to have a 250-word summary ready to go. You need to have an elevator pitch ready to go.
I will say, as far as the query goes, if you've written, especially for Nano, when you're putting in the details about your novel, it asks for a blurb, tell what it's about. If you write that back of book blurb that is very easy to take and cut up and rearrange into your query because you've already, talked about basically what this is, what the book is about. So I find it very helpful. Sorry, we had a malfunction, so if it seems weirdly choppy, I apologize. My editing is not that great.
So we were talking about things to do post Nano, right? And just kind of refreshing, you're going to edit, you're going to create a synopsis, you're going to do a quick summary, you're going to do a back of the book blurb type summary, you're going to write your query letter. Then you're going to face oodles and oodles of rejection. It's so much fun, said no one ever. But it's really a numbers game. But more importantly, you have to know who you're sending to. One of the things agents say over and over again is make sure you do your research. If you wrote a fantasy, don't send to a publisher of religious nonfiction. Okay?
Yeah. Okay, so they make a marketplace book.
Yeah.
It comes out every year. They have one specifically for YA, but they have them for other things as well. So you can see which agents are interested in what you write.
Right.
But here's the catch. That book comes out beginning of the year, or it's put together a year in advance. So you need to go to the website,
right,
find them, and make sure that they're still accepting that, because maybe they got enough, and as of last month, they're no longer taking magical realism.
Absolutely. It's a guide, right? It's not a Bible or, end all. So you use it as a guide, and you make sure then you go and look at that agent's website. They might be on Writers Marketplace. They might be on any number of publishers' sites where they say what they're currently looking for. And make sure don't say, I know you're not looking for magical realism, but they get so many letters. You want to maximize your chances, especially if you're talking about slush pile. It's something that wasn't requested.
And guess what? They're not the first person looking at your query.
Right.
It's an intern. It's, I don't want to say grunt. That's kind of mean. But, it's not them. It's somebody who is going through with a criteria that the agent is looking for, and they're going to, here's your dead pile, and here's your pile of this is what I'm looking for.
Right.
So if they see right away, oh, magical realism, we're not doing that right now. They're going to put it in the dead pile, and that's that. It's not even going to get in front of the agent.
And I should mention at this point, if you've not been published, you can't add creds that don't exist. It's really important that you have a clear bio that shows why you're qualified. If it's not like they're going to automatically accept you if you went to college, right? So you should have a bio that gives them a little bit of insight to who you are. The agents have all said they hate when someone just says, to whom it may concern.
Oh, yeah.
Do your research, personalize the letter. I know you're anxious and you want to get your work in front of as many people as possible, but trust me, a little effort on your part is going to go a long way. Hey, I've been following you on Twitter. I love what you said about the election.
Says nobody.
Says nobody ever, right? But do that research and give them the respect. Remember, you're hiring them. It's a little bit like a marriage. And so both parties need to click. So make sure you're not just casting that wide net with little regard. It's in plenty of fish, okay?
And they're going to know.
They're going to know.
If it's a form letter, they're going to know.
Right. So, while you're waiting for those queries that you've sent out, the most important thing to do after Nano is to keep writing. On to the next idea, developing the next concept. Keep going. There are probably, a million ideas inside of your head, but you got to get them on paper or they don't count.
Right.
They're like the boyfriends in my head, because Jon Snow and me are married. He don't know it. And he's also a fictional character. So keep writing. Keep writing. Don't wait for November.
Right.
Keep going. We'd love to know what's your personal action plan post Nano. Right. We'd love to hear it. Let us know.
In the comments.
Bye.
Hello.
Bye-bye.
Next time, keep turning those pages.
Bye.
Bye-bye. That was weird and awkward ending.